Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Mr. Luetkemeyer for 2 minutes for purpose of an opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Capito, and thank you, Chairman Garrett, for holding today's hearing and your very kind remarks leading into the hearing here. Everyday community banks help Americans realize their dreams. That mission is becoming more and more difficult for our nation's smaller financial institutions. Regulatory requirements disproportionately burden community banks that do not have the resources necessary to comply. I introduced the Communities First Act to help community banks and other financial services entities foster economic growth and serve their communities by giving targeted relief to these institutions and their customers. Some are concerned that this legislation is too broad and tries to do too much. The simple truth of the matter is that the legislation must be broad in order to save our community banks. Across the nation, community banks are consolidating or closing, not based solely on weak assets or balance sheets, but because they simply cannot afford to operate in the current regulatory environment. The number of provisions including this bill is a reflection of the amount of regulation that has been piled on community banks. Despite the fact that community banks were not part of the financial crisis, they have been dragged in as part of the solution. The regulations that have come out of Congress and this administration are crushing small businesses, including banks. I'm proud to have more than 50 of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, 13 of whom sit on this committee, as co-sponsors of H.R. 1697. This legislation is supported by Independent Community Bankers of America and the National Bankers Association. The bill also has the support of more than 35 state banking groups, including both the Missouri Bankers Association, represented here today by Mr. John Kleva, and the Independent Bankers Association. Madam Chair, I seek unanimous consent to enter the record a letter of support for the Missouri Independent Bankers Association.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is essential that our community banks continue to have the ability to attract capital, support the credit needs of their customers, and contribute to the local economies. Instead of inhibiting their ability to operate, it is time for Washington to work with community banks. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I yield back.